what the hell is happening in Houston? Is this even legal? Like, not just in NBA terms, is this a hostage situation? Blake Griffin tweeted this image from DeAndre Jordan's house, presumably as a joke, but a small barricade is still a barricade. The information's coming in fast and loose and via emoji on the night before free agent signing, and all we can do is watch, speculate, consider calling the police because what if we're all assuming someone else will do it? Or if you're Michael Jordan, use the opportunity to throw in an unrelated brag. This night took over Twitter, threatened to shake up NBA contender status, and forced the league itself to rewrite the literal rulebook. The LA Clippers' attempt at an 11th hour free agent coup was a big deal. Okay, so let me run down what was going on in case this leaves too much open to interpretation. DeAndre Jordan, free agent, verbally agreed to leave the Clippers and sign with the Mavericks, which created a problem for the Clippers. They very much needed DeAndre Jordan on their team. It's hard for a team to lose their starting center, but it's a bit more detrimental for this team, because these Clippers were good, and that was a first for the sad Lakers shadow of a team named after a type of ship nobody has ever seen or heard of. These Lob City Clippers were fast, high-flying, fun, and for the first time, title contending. Okay, yes, they were coming off a season where they blew a 3-1 playoff series in a sort of horrific collapse, but I mean, at least they had a 3-1 lead to blow. It's been worse. And yeah, it ended their season, but it didn't shut their title window. So DeAndre Jordan said, let me get that for you. There you go, shut nice and tight. Why don't I lock it for you too? Draw the curtains? Board it up? My point is, there's no championship window without DeAndre Jordan. Especially when you look at the Clippers' replacement prospects. But we'll get to that later. All in good time. DeAndre Jordan was a huge part of the new, actually good, fun to watch, yes, of course I've heard of a Clipper ship, and I think it's a great team name, Clippers. Jordan was the 2-time reigning NBA rebound leader. He was coming off his most productive season, and fans loved him. He had a role to play in the offense and executed it with beauty and grace. Mesh that with size and power on the other end, and you've got a guy on his first All-NBA defensive team who also finished third in Defensive Player of the Year voting. A lot of people assumed DJ loved his life and wasn't going anywhere in free agency, including Clippers coach and GM Doc Rivers, who said just that when asked about Jordan's free agency at the end of the 2015 season. And thus, the Clippers did little to no wooing of DeAndre Jordan. About that. Did DeAndre really love it in LA? The offense revolved around stars Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, to the extent that the starting center got, on average, less than 1 post-up per game. And sometimes Chris Paul yelled at him on TV, and wasn't super nice to him off TV. When the Mavericks of DeAndre's home state came calling with visions of him as the offensive centerpiece with teammates who liked him, he was smitten. Chandler Parsons made himself a fast friend, and Dirk Nowitzki left vacation to eat dinner with him. So what if the Mavericks weren't title contenders? So what if the Mavericks couldn't offer him as much money as the Clippers? They made him an offer that validated his personal value, and the Clippers did not. They could have, or they could have at least tried, but they did not. So DeAndre verbally committed to Dallas, and LA's failure to secure Jordan produced a "that's why the Clippers can't have nice things" response from fans and media. Thus, on the eve of free agency signing period, the Clippers found themselves faced with a problem. They dropped from title contenders to the bottom half of the playoff picture, and they had no one to blame but themselves. And to solve that problem, the coach, stars, and owner descended on Jordan's house to convince him to back out of the Mavs deal. Was that really the best solution here? Would you believe me if I said yes? See, the Clippers were already over the projected salary cap. That would be fine if they signed DeAndre because league rules allow teams to pay their own free agents over the cap, any amount, even a max salary. However, to get someone else's free agent, which they would need as a theoretical Jordan replacement, the Clips had few payroll options. It's a little confusing, even for me, a genius, but Basically, the Clippers could offer somebody a minimum salary, or they could use the mid-level exception to offer about $5 million that season. Sounds like a lot of money, but in NBA terms, it wasn't enough. Even for the 2015 free agent pool, which was shallow and tepid. Who was available? Let's go to the board. The Clippers had actually already reached out to Amari Stoudemire, a power forward who would turn 33 that coming November. An all-star 4 seasons ago, Stoudemire had been getting progressively worse and struggled with injuries. How about Kosta Koufos, a Memphis backup who averaged 5 rebounds and 5 points per game, and who actually had already verbally agreed to go to the Kings for more money than the Clippers could offer him? Consider Kevin Seraphin, substitute on the Washington Wizards. He was just 25 and not bad in the low post with his jump hook. But was that a plus on a team that gave their previous center less than 1 post-up per game? Defense is not young Kevin's strong suit, and he too would likely have to take a pay cut to join the Clippers. Have I mentioned JaVale McGee? Waived by the 76ers, he's been limited to 23 games last season, due to a leg injury that many say has caused him to lose athleticism. He was described as an interesting project for Doc Rivers. Could that project be completed in time for this year's playoffs? No. Now, the Clippers didn't have to rely on free agency to fill the DJ-sized hole in their lineup. They could trade Jamal Crawford, maybe? Or they could make Blake Griffin play center. At 6'9", he was now the tallest guy on their roster. All they'd have to do is revamp their offense to play small ball at all times. The Clippers surveyed the board and chose door number 7. And then they put a small barricade in front of that door to solve this thing by physically keeping Jordan for themselves. Because the fact of the matter was, DJ hadn't signed anything yet. Yes, on July 4th, 2015, news broke that Jordan had verbally agreed to sign with the Mavs, but he couldn't actually sign anything until July 9th. This weird limbo stretch of time when players can talk to new teams and agree but not sign a contract is called the moratorium period. It exists so that the NBA's math professionals can audit the year and set the salary cap. Hard to draw up a contract before the salary cap is set. So, July 8th, the night before free agents were allowed to sign contracts, Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, JJ Redick, Paul Pierce, Doc Rivers, and owner Steve Ballmer were like, hey, engaged ain't married. They went to his house, didn't include his agent, and didn't leave until DeAndre signed with them. Which he did just after midnight on July 9th. It was unprecedented. It broke several unwritten rules, mainly agents should be around for contract stuff, verbal agreements are agreements, and homes are for invited guests. Though later it was revealed to be less of a hostage situation and more friendly and calm, it was still an unheard of move, and from Dallas's point of view, still pretty fucked up. But you know the saying, no fucked up stuff, no reward. The Clippers had eliminated their problem. Mission accomplished. Doc Rivers was regarded as the hero who saved the Clippers. They were reinstated as a threat to the defending champion Warriors. Sure, there was some blowback for their snaking of a player from another team, and DJ himself, well, he went from being the prized big fish of free agency to a spineless sea slug, the most despised of all sea creatures. His apology to Maverick fans was not accepted. His character was called into question, which is what happens when you go back on your word so very publicly. But suddenly, his talent was up for debate too. Maybe he flip-flopped because he knew he wasn't up to the task of being an offensive centerpiece. Maybe he was scared to try. A scorned Chandler Parsons suggested this theory, as did the trainer who'd worked with DeAndre his whole career. Kind of a damning source. But who cares about all that when you're about to challenge the Warriors for a title? About that. The Clippers were eliminated in the first round of the 2016 playoffs. Same with the 2017 playoffs. A lot of that was due to injury troubles, but that was still the end result. By the middle of 2018, Jordan was the only one of the big 3 left and the butt of the joke the Clippers had become. Even though he individually did pretty well. So, in the end, all this didn't matter? Like, sure, the Clippers would have probably been worse if they'd taken Kevin Seraphin or had Blake Griffin at center, but the overall result would have been the same. No ring, no conference finals trophy, no second round of the playoffs t-shirts. I grew up in DC, and in glorious 2005, the Wizards really did get celebratory second round of the playoffs t-shirts. My point is, the Clippers went nowhere despite their, for lack of a better term, off-season kidnapping spree. And the saga sort of got lost in the larger reputation of the Lob City Clippers. They never lived up to their potential, they blew a 3-1 lead. Yeah, they got a little weird and selfish in free agency, but what else were they supposed to do? You saw their options. Even DJ's reputation got repaired a bit. The Mavericks forgave him to an extent when he actually signed with them in 2018. So, was the DJ coup really a big deal? Yup, said the horribly embarrassed NBA. The league did not want to ever again look like a circus that allowed hostage-taking, agent barricading, and teams getting totally screwed over. But what could they do? Enact the DeAndre Jordan rule, shortening the moratorium period to 4 days and hoping that would be too little time for a circus to perform. The 11th hour scramble changed professional basketball forever. Just not in the way the Clippers had imagined. Thanks for watching Big Deal Episode 1. We did it! I hope you enjoyed this episode, as well as that peek inside my home, where you're always welcome, in that corner I decluttered specifically for this video. Watch more stuff, join the Patreon, live your best life. For Secret Base, I'm Clara Morris. Good night and good game.